Good Sunday morning. I'm J.B. Hawkins, and I'm with my wife this morning. We bring you the next 30 minutes of our TV program called Roll the Stone Away. It's a very special program. We're going to be taping this morning, and we're going to be taping two this morning. As you notice, we're wearing our pink T-shirts this morning, and I don't mind wearing pink. It looks
well for the cause. We understand it's in October, but a lot of times we shoot our TV program. It's tape delayed.
Yes, tape delayed.
So
yes, so we're actually shooting this in September. For this will be on the first Sunday of October, and then the following Sunday will be another one. We are in support of breast cancer awareness.
Absolutely.
Ladies, gentlemen, you that stick it out with your wives, God bless you. You women that go through that, God bless you this morning. And we're going to be sharing. Some friends of mine in a town of Miller, Missouri, population right around 600, just held a big 5K walk over there. They had a tremendous turnout, and I want to share some about that walk. One of my friends that I grew up with did experience going through that disease and the heartache that went with it, and I've got her testimony, and I want to be sure and share that. But I put down some notes this morning. You that are watching, good morning. Patricia, Oliver,
good morning.
Georgia, Mary, Coltrane, Tom, if you're there, Jim and Barbara Furr, Alan, Deborah, all you folks that are part of our life, John Exline, if you're watching this over in Wichita, Kathy Johnson, and our friends there in Miller, Missouri. Pray that you're blessed. Pray that you're encouraged over this. I'll actually be sharing Kathy's testimony. She sent that to me. I think that the things we go through in life, and you've heard that saying, but are to make us stronger. And when you go in and the doctor tells you that you're going to lose body parts, I don't know, I don't know how much strength you come out of the office with. And through this program and the next program, I put down some pointers that I personally would want, and some references that I personally would want in my life. So be sure if you watch this one, it'll be on YouTube. Be sure and watch the next one. But a little about this group first. This is dedicated to them over there that stand with other women and that have gone through it themselves. But as I said, small town, Miller, Missouri, town of about 600. They just did a 5K walk. And one thing that I noted, and I shared that picture with you, if every little town or every little community would do something to change their world, what a world we live in.
Well, it because it boils down, they're trying to raise money for cancer research.
Yes.
And I saw a commercial. It really touched me. The woman said, in 5 years they may, have a cure for cancer, for breast cancer, but I don't have 5 years.
Yes.
What do I tell my kids?
Yes.
And it's just it's heart-wrenching.
Well, this we're actually this is for. This is the foundation that Kathy supports and is a part of, but Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks, BCFO, a place that I grew up my young years, and my teen years, and my school years in the Ozarks of Missouri. Great place. But as we talked about it, and I saw they were going to do that walk, and I wanted to be involved, and then I wanted to support the women in this area. There is a number there that you can text us with your prayer requests. Maybe you know somebody going through it. We do pray every morning over our prayer requests. But I, put some notes down, and I want to read Kathy's testimony and things like that. But the first thing I put down, life can throw you some curves and twists.
Yes, it can.
I remember this group of young girls who were actually cheerleaders in high school. Vibrant, full of life, still vibrant and full of life. Kathy was one. There was another one, Elaine Marsh, Deborah Garner, Joanne Langston, Kathy Warren. I remember them over there. Spunky, little country girls cheering on the Cardinals. Go Cardinals. And I say all that to say, just because years later and what you go through does not have to take away your spunk and your living and your zeal for life, and your, every day is so precious in the eyes of God.
Yeah.
So precious that you do something today to encourage and inspire, and that's what we're praying over this program, that you get encouraged and inspired. They were all good girls. Every one of them was. And I put down a note too. One thing is for sure: this disease does not discriminate.
No, it doesn't.
Whether it be small town, big town, it does not know color, age, height, weight. It can blindside you, and it did our friend Kathy. Now, I want to read y'all some of her testimonies. I asked her, and she said that would be fine. Maybe somebody will be encouraged from it. And I want to say this too, to the men that stand.
Mm-hmm. That's funny you said that, because I was thinking about that this morning.
Well, her husband Kerry, and I want to acknowledge that, Kerry, that what a man.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what.
That's a real man.
Through thick and thin, you made a commitment to your spouse. I think some of the vows, and I've done some marriages over my ministerial years, through better or worse, sickness or health, I'll stand there for you. How easily, and I recall this too. Friend of mine in Kansas City, Missouri. She was in a fire, and the fire disfigured her. She got trapped in a hallway, and her shirt caught on fire. Even Georgia, though, what Georgia went through. But this girl was disfigured in her chest, and her breasts were disfigured. And I'm not going to get into that. But it haunted her. And when she got married, of course, the man was okay with it for the first year. Second year, not so much. Third year, couldn't look at her anymore naked. I mean, you made that commitment. Mm-hmm. You're the one that said yes through thick and thin.
I'm sorry, but anything else is superficial. I mean, just honestly, because, even if you don't go through some kind of sickness, you're going to age, you're going to gain weight, you're going to, you're going to change. When I look at you, I see how you look and everything, but I don't.
You're supposed to go, yes, baby.
I don't, baby. Yeah, baby.
Don't make me get my muscles going.
I don't look at you like that. I see the inner you. Mm-hmm. I see who you are inside. Yes. I see the person that I fell in love with, the person I connected to.
Yes.
And I don't know. To me, anything else is superficial. And we're in a world that focuses so much on how you look and what you weigh and what color your hair and eyes are and how hot you are. And I just think we get very sidetracked from what really matters.
Well, and you should just go look in the mirror and go,
I'm hot.
I'm hot. You should do that once in a while just to encourage yourself. But anyway, Kathy wrote me this, and like I said, I wanted to share it with you. Her sister Pam, I think she was in my class in high school. I'm pretty sure she was. But as Kathy said yesterday, my brain's mush sometimes. Well, that's been a few years ago. But anyway, and I actually wanted to note too that in this small town of 600 people, there's been 4 women impacted by breast cancer, and
in that small town.
Yeah, and it does not discriminate. You keep that in mind, and I ask you to pray, because there'll be women around you, workplace, church, neighborhood.
This is a common thing.
Well, but you would never know what they go through, because it's not something that you're going to post out in your front yard.
No,
I'm getting my breast removed.
Dr. Ogden's, the receptionist.
Yes, I remember her.
She's been through.
Oh yeah, one of our friends at the dentist office.
surgery after surgery
yes,
after
yes,
surgery
yes.
after surgery. I mean, it's not just like this is a long, ongoing battle.
And I ask you to pray this morning. The crux of these two shows is to make you aware, and maybe you'll pray for the research. Maybe you'll pray for those and what they're going through.
A cure, an answer.
Yes, because it does affect so many people. JB, September 2008, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Kathy's testimony. Those were words that forever changed my life. My mom died when I was 20 of bone cancer, and that same year my grandmother lost her battle with breast cancer. Pam and I both had discussed if either one of us were ever diagnosed with breast cancer, that we'd be very aggressive and just have them both removed with no reconstructive surgery after watching what Grandma went through. On October 30th of that year, I did just that. I had an amazing doctor that gave me my option of a lumpectomy. Is that how you say that? Lumpectomy? Yeah.
Lumpectomy.
Lumpectomy. Yes, ma'am. Followed by seed radiation. But I asked him if he would remove them both, and he wanted me to go home and think it over, and he would do whatever I decided. And I love this because there's a testimony going to come up in this that God, and God will show us what we need to do, but that God showed her in a mighty way. But anyway, I just hate, it's a girl I know, but I hate to see people go through that. You that know Amber and I, we have an outreach ministry that feeds about 75 to 100 people a week, and I hate to hear, what people go through and the sure agony. And God has been very good to us, and He really has, and we've, we've seen people go through so much in their life, and I guess that's why it touched in my heart. I still have an old soft heart. I'm an old country boy with a soft heart, and I cry at the sound of a baby. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the decision had already been made, and I went home with Pam and her husband Ed and my son Matthew and my daughter-in-law Erica and Carrie, and we all sat on our living room floor, and each one of us prayed for God's guidance in this decision. That was easy. Exclamation point. He had already told me what to do, and my family was behind me 100%. So you're going to need that in the next show.
Yes.
I'm going to talk some about that. I called the doctor the next day, and we set up the appointment for surgery. There were many steps before surgery to make sure it wasn't in the other breast, and thankfully it wasn't. But I still wanted them both off. Carrie, that's her husband, asked Dr. I just leave his name out, if this was your wife, what would you do? He said, I would tell her to do the same thing. The doctor had removed a benign lump from my breast about 10 years before this happened. He's a wonderful doctor and a compassionate man. Thank God for that. I remember the morning of the surgery, I had to go in so they could inject a radioactive substance, and then during surgery, they would run a dye through it to see which lymph node fed it so they could remove it or them and check them also. Praise God, they were okay, which that was a praise report. I remember laying in this dark room waiting for them to inject this all alone, and I was so afraid that I asked God to please hold my hand, and I felt His presence with me, and I calmed right down. He held my hand every step of the way. What an awesome feeling that was to know He was with me holding my hand. I always tell women, and she's a huge supporter of the Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks. And she recruits everywhere she goes. She helps women that come to that foundation that are around her area. I always tell women that I come in contact with to just ask God to hold their hand, and He will. There have been 4 women in this small town of Miller, Missouri that have been impacted by breast cancer. I was the first, and then the others were just within a 2-year period. Breast Cancer Foundation of the Ozarks helped Sherry that worked with me during her treatments. They help women and men that are going through breast cancer treatments by helping with house payments, gas, If there are children in the home, they do things for them. They help women that can't afford mammograms. This is why this will be my 5th year organizing this walk, because BCFO relies totally on money donated to them. I've seen what they can do, and all the money all stays locally within the 4-state region. They're constantly doing something to raise money and awareness. After my journey, I felt that God led me to minister to other women going through their own journey, and He also led me to do this for the foundation. I will continue to do this as long as God allows me to do it. Last year, down to 600, raised $3,000 for them, and I strive to do more this year. She said, I'll make sure and post pictures on Facebook so you can see the wonderful response. They just had the walk this last weekend, and I did see the pictures. Awesome turnout, awesome group of men and women, young men and boys and girls that were all turned out. I am beyond blessed to be able to give back to something I truly believe in. And this is what so touched my heart. I have to tell you that the Sunday before I was diagnosed, on Monday, now this is the Sunday before that Monday, on the front of the church bulletin was a woman sitting on a table in a gown in a doctor's office, and it said, I am the God who heals you.
Wow. That's powerful.
I knew right then that I was going to be okay. What an awesome God we serve. Thank you, JB, for your support and making this aware. I also see this as such a blessing to be able to connect with you and Amber and so many wonderful classmates from the past. God bless you, Kathy. And I just want to share this too. This is why we have testimonies, is to encourage, inspire. It may not be a disease that you ever come in contact with. It may be something else. It may be your job loss, or it may be the death of a loved one, or it may be, there's so many things that it could be. But we, as truly caring people, should look to inspire and encourage others no matter what.
Right. Well, you go on the doctor and hear something like that, and you've been like, oh, I don't need to pray, or I don't need God, or whatever. You go in and hear something like that, and all of a sudden you need God.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, when the plane's going down, you hear a lot of people saying, God, just let me live.
Yeah.
Just let me get out of this, and I'll serve you forever.
Yes.
The reason that we do things like this is your life is not about you. You're here for a purpose. You're here to do something. You're here to make a difference.
Yes.
And that's why we do things like this. That's why we support things like that.
Yes.
That's what this show's about.
Yes.
Reaching out and doing something for somebody other than
yes.
me.
And it's on the front of this program. The true joy is when you give of yourself to other people, and whether you give your time, whether you give, whatever you give of yourself, it's truly the joy of living.
Right.
And we miss that because we live in a society that says get. Right. Push the weak to the side.
Right.
Trample, run over them, leave them in the dust. They have nothing to add to my life. And I often think of that. A lot of the folks that we help do not add to our life at all.
No.
But
that's not why we do it, though.
No,
it's
not why we do it, because God told us 25 years ago He's going to bless us to be a blessing, and we've surely been for 25 years with everything God has ever sent us. But we have folks, see, the thing is, if you're looking at it from the right perspective, God will send in people that can add to your life. And we have people that add to our life, and you all know who you are, you that stand with us, that pray for us, that are a part of our life. You know who you are. And, you your responsibility, Jesus said it, was to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And you know, that is a forgotten thing.
It really is. I mean, it's so me oriented. It's just almost sickening to me. I mean, there's some reality shows and stuff I cannot even watch them.
Right.
It's just oversaturated with me. You know, get over it. I mean, there's a whole big wide world out here that doesn't have a darn thing to do with me.
True.
You know, there's so much more I could be doing. If you're famous, then do something with it.
And you all, and I've shared this testimony before, but we were traveling evangelists, Amber and I, for 3 years. I traveled by myself for a year and a half out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I met Amber in Meridian, Mississippi, married her 10 days later, hallelujah. Crazy as...
We were both crazy.
Crazy anyway. Crazy for Jesus.
We're still crazy.
Crazy for the Lord. But anyway, and we'd been together. We were down here in our camper. We'd been together, I guess, about a year. And you were getting ready one day in the mirror. Mm-hmm. What'd you say?
Felt a knot.
Size of a...
it was the size of a golf ball, man.
What'd you say?
Baby, I don't remember exactly what I said.
Amber,
we prayed over it.
No, you did. She freaked out. And show your cup there, Mom. Well, you got it up there. That's a cool pink cup.
Yeah, pretty. Everything's pink today.
Yes.
It's all dedicated to...
But anyway, a rather concerned voice. I was sitting in the front room. I think it was on a Sunday morning. We were getting ready. A rather concerned voice came out of the bathroom and said, JB, I feel a knot in my breast. And it's about the size of a golf ball. Mm-hmm. And you know, sometimes God wonderfully heals. And other times you're going to have to go through that holding on to the hand of the Lord, knowing that God is with you every step of the way, just as Kathy's testimony was. But I was in there studying, and I told her, I said, lay hands on that thing and curse it. She laid hands on that knot.
I felt it dissipate down to the size of a pea.
Yes, in that, and a true story, true miracle, you know, and God still does miracles. And I'm not ever going to discount, because in the next show we're going to talk some about that. I'm never going to discount the healing power of God. But I'm not going to discount either that you go through things in this life.
Well, God uses the medical.
Yes, He does.
Field, you know.
Yes, He does.
And Luke was a doctor.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm sure if you ask Kathy, she'd tell you thank God for that doctor that was there. Thank God for His compassion. You know, and it's we need to encourage those around us, and especially women, and it can happen to men too, but you know, it's predominantly amongst women. But we need to encourage them. Have you had, and I get on her every year. She'll be like, she's so busy, and she'll be like, oh, okay, I'll make an appointment. I'll just, every day or every other day. Do you make your appointment yet? You make your appointment?
For the mammo.
Yeah, I'm a little, do you make your appointment yet? You make your...
He'll lay the pink envelope out, call him today.
Yeah, that's, but you know, that's how God works on her behalf. Maybe what you go through is not going to be the same.
Well, as you were saying that, I thought about all the connections that your friend made, you know, through the doctor, at the hospital, the organization that she's raising funds for, the ability to be able to sit and talk to somebody and know.
Yes.
People know if you've been through what they've been through.
That's a biggie right there.
And, you know, because she's been through that, she's able to sit and talk to somebody and they can feel that empathy.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's the most, I think, and it's true in life, if you've never been through anything, I don't know how you could ever empathize. If you have lived, you know, and it's not, I don't think it's healthy to be served everything on a silver platter in life, because sooner or later that silver platter will tarnish and it will turn green, and then you're going to be angry at people around your life that you had this perfect life and all of a sudden it started falling apart. You know, it is a way of life. You can be cruising at 20,000 feet today, and the next thing you know, be headed for a tailspin to crash in the earth. And you know, you better have some. You better have something on the inside of you, some character, some strength, some stamina. And as I said in the next show, you better have a support group. And I'm going to be using some things that I find that are helpful as far as support groups. But it is a choice whether or not you want to give up or give in, or whether or not you want to face it head on. And know that people are praying for you, which I'm sure people in her church were praying for her instantly. That's the most important thing you can do for me, is to pray for me. Pray that we're encouraged. Pray that we're inspired. Pray that we stay on the course, because there's so much to distract us and so much to throw your hands up and say, that's it.
Yeah, there is.
So, but we're wearing pink. We are celebrating Breast Cancer Awareness Month this month. We're identifying with other ministries, Baby Blessing Ministries, Love Pantry here in town. We got about 5 seconds. Be sure and tune in next week. We sure love you guys.
We love you.